What are your thoughts on removing "In God We Trust" from American money? I would support removing it, but that is honestly the least of our concerns right now. Right? Also, I can't remember the last time I looked at a bill and read anything other than the number on it. You guys have money? You guys use currency? You guys exchange things of value? You guys have things of value? You guys have things? You guys? You? Question mark. It was an anti-communist thing from the 50s. At a time like this, e pluribus unum seems more relevant and needed. E pluribus anus. This guy is streets ahead. It'd be more interested in elected officials doing their jobs. In God we trust, because our leaders sure as duck won't do shit to help us. Rant, but here we go. They are not our leaders, they are our public servants. You and I are the leaders. If more of us understood that, we would clean house a lot more often. There is a reason why our Constitution says "we the people," because that is where the power comes from. Not we the rich ducks. That is good in theory, but that is not the way it happens to work. And don't you think that's the source of our problems? Definitely. And I think that too many make a career out of politics, and then nothing that needs to be done can get done. There should be a maximum 4-term policy for Congress. That allows them time to get in, get what they want to get done, and then get out, so new blood can have a shot at it. We don't need someone from the 1940s controlling the country in 2022. The world has changed. They have not. We need hard and fast term limits. No longer than 6-year terms of those of the House and the Senate, because let's face it, instead of doing right by the people, politicians are whoring themselves out to whoever can and will write the fattest check to their election campaign. And the same can be said about being president. And not only that, but after they're done in public service, they cannot serve in any kind of think tank. Want to change this country? We need to get big money out politics. We need to make it so that even the average Joe can run for political office. Only then will we make this country great again. Yeah, let's replace it with "better spend me now, I'll be worth 9% less in a year." We should totally have financial tips printed right onto money. And randomize it so it's like loading screen tips. Or fortune cookies. This is totally unnecessary, but it really feels like this could be the one thing that unites us as a country. We need this. Unnecessary? How else are we supposed to learn economics? School? This is Reddit, it's pretty obvious the answer you're gonna get. Redditors of Reddit, do you think Roe v. Wade should have been overturned? Who cares about the Redditors of Reddit? I want to hear from the non-Redditors of Reddit. Rasknotretta. It shouldn't be there in the first place. Replace it with Wu-Tang Forever. I'd prefer they remove the God from political policies first. Separation of church and state are a thing for a reason. Edit, I have never received this many upvotes or an award or anything like this, so thank you all, and I'm really trying to answer the replies, I just wasn't expecting this to blow up. Edit 2, I am now at 1K karma, I'm going to go eat a celebratory granola bar. It's not a hill I'd be willing to die on to remove it. I'd rather have codified abortion, or term limits for SCOTUS, or pretty much anything else. Weighing in as conservative Christian, we shouldn't demand that be on the money. I know plenty of people who would get up in arms about the removal of the phrase, but by the same token they would be upset if it read "In Allah we trust" or "In Braham we trust." These same folks will argue about having their rights taken away, when the First Amendment to the Constitution explicitly states that the government has no authority to tell you how you should have religious faith in. I would be more than willing to bet if asked should the government promote Christianity, they would say, well, of course. But if you ask them if we should repeal the First Amendment, they would say, well, of course not. Christians are to submit to the governing authority. That means stop shitting on Biden, obey the law, and if you don't like it, go through due process, voting and making your voice heard to your government via legal activities. Nowhere does the Bible say that we should attempt to become the governing authority and subjugate people under us. The only time we are excused from following the law is when it goes against biblical doctrine. For instance, if a law were put into place to force everyone to acknowledge a government official, let's say Biden, as divine. Edit, and to clarify that last comment, our faith would excuse us from following that, imaginary, law, but not from the legal consequences of disobeying the law. I'd prefer to have e pluribus unum back. I do not care at all. Wasn't it only added during the Cold War? It's completely unnecessary and not tradition for us at all. It's a celebration of the country's culture, by which I mean Cold War propaganda repeated by the gullible suckers at first targeted down to their kids and their students, the gullible among whom repeated it to theirs, generation after generation, completely forgetting that it was only propaganda. I wonder what the place would be like if it focused more on actual cultural stuff. Ah well, it's moot. Putin's propagandists are doing so well it won't be long until the citizens have swallowed a whole new pile of bullshit. Jesus said to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. He didn't care about money, and neither does God. And if God is being offended or erased by removing the phrase from money, then he's not a very strong God to begin with. E pluribus unum is all it should say. We don't all have to believe in God, and that definitely was never core to our founding. Out of many, one defines us universally. It's time to get religion out of all things public. One nation, under Canada and above Mexico. Robin Williams. I think we should remove God from everything our government does. I'm not an American, but it strikes me as really, really strange that God is on money in the first place. Why is it there in the first place? Replace it with mind your business. I wouldn't care tbh. I believe in separation of church and state, but NGL I didn't think that affected money lamau. Obviously we should, it was literally added as Cold War propaganda. But let's do that after we have universal healthcare and no billionaires and everyone can afford to live. What are your thoughts on just getting over it? It should never have been there in the first place. Imagine caring about this among all things. I couldn't care less. I'll spend it for anybody who doesn't want it. I support it. God is not exactly a catch-all term for deities outside the Christian religion, and in my view treats those Americans who are not Christians like second-class citizens. I'm an atheist and I don't think I would notice, let alone care. I didn't even notice it was on, so I don't care. Let's do it since we're going back to the 50s and everything else. I think it never needed to be on there in the first place, but if you try to remove it, Fox will spend 6 weeks on round-the-clock updates on the liberals' persecution of Christians. Oh please. This is ducking Reddit. You know what the consensus is going to be, this is a pure karma farm. Duck American shit, inflation, fiat, and fuck God. Bring back mind your business. I wouldn't care either way. If there wasn't a whole segment of the population that is viciously trying to pull us back into the Stone Age. So I'm all for removing it. If I thought that they could play nice, I would say leave it. I grew up Catholic. Do it. I'd love that as an atheist, but the government has already unseparated the church from the state, so that sure as hell won't happen. LMFAO. I want God removed from all federal and state government entities. Doesn't matter. Yes. Remove it. I mean, it hasn't always been there and shouldn't be there now. I am an atheist and I don't think it should be on our money. That said, it is nowhere near the top, or even middle, of my list of grievances with our government that need correcting ASAP.